I just wanted an example of white fragility so I could explain it without being condescending.
People in this country are scared to fly the flag. They're scared to love this country. They're scared to be patriotic. They're terrified in their own land.
I've not noticed that because that's not happening to us that don't have white fragility. It's not happening. We're not noticing that. Because that imagined world isn't coming down on us.
It is considered hateful. It is considered racist to be proud of this country, and I think that is absolutely reprehensible. And all of this is the mainstream narrative pushed into the weakest minds around.
This is a good example because it's something he and I think a lot of people do quite often. There's this weight on them, these people with white fragility, that we just don't have. And, after calling them weak, he's going to say, and a lot of people do this, that, everyone's being mean to white people. It's hurting his feelings.
Every Aussie needs Australia Day. And I know what people say straight off the bat. White Australians, this, that, or the other. Fuck you, you racist. Okay? How about that? How do you like that?
By reason, the same people that hate white people for being white people, that are occupying his mind so heavily, would also hate me. But you see, it's not weighing on me like it is him, because I do not have white fragility.
We need to, number one, stop blaming white people for everything that's gone wrong in certain people's lives. That needs to stop fucking now.
I'm not sure if it's much harder to conceive of, if you have white fragility, the criticisms of people with intergenerational trauma and such. Their hatred makes sense. Even if you don't like their hatred coming at you, it makes sense.
Never forget what happened. Always understand what happened and learn about what happened.
Now, this acknowledgement is in no way bad, but he's about to use minimalising, dismissive language about people's oppression. This is something I also feel is bad and I want to discuss.
I really mean it when I say never forget the horrible shit that happened. Because from the moment the white settlers landed in Australia some 240 years ago, Aboriginal people in this country suffered greatly, much like all Indigenous people did all over the world anytime someone not from there arrived. And it wasn't just people who happened to be darker skinned, it happened to white people too. Look at the English when the Vikings arrived, look at anyone who came into contact with the Mongols. Shit happens.
Dismissive, minimalising language about people's oppression, saying, we must never forget. But it happened everywhere and to so many people. It really is on level with the people who say, just get over it.
We need to recognise our Indigenous people and we need to understand the plight that they went through, and I agree. But to abolish any celebration of this country, for them to say that Australia is not a proper nation because it was stolen land, everyone's on stolen land.
Dismissive, minimalising.
You think that Aboriginal people never walked into another tribe's land? Or maybe they weren't even the first people here in Australia. There's evidence to suggest that maybe they weren't.
That was appalling to say, and can say with confidence that evidence does not exist. Whether or not it's their level of indoctrination of white fragility or they're actually doing it on purpose, it doesn't matter.
A lot of people don't want to listen to the horrible things that white people did to Aboriginal people back in the day. But it's important to, because the truth telling, I think, is very, very important. To know accurate information, I think, is very, very important. Thousands of Aboriginal people were killed when white settlers arrived in organised massacres. They went out and hunted these people. They didn't think of them as humans. They just went out and slaughtered them. Take, for example, the Mile Creek massacre. No wonder a lot of Aboriginal people look at that and go, fuck, that is just, how could they do that to us? The stolen generation from the early 1900s up until like the 1970s, the Australian government went in and took Aboriginal people out of their homes, babies, and gave them to white families. Like, that destroys culture, that erases family connections. That's awful. On top of that, legal discrimination against their human rights. Horrible, horrible things.
I'm not alone in thinking after using those words of acknowledgement he should end the video, but he knows the echo chamber he's shouting into, and he's going to use more minimalising language.
But what I think a lot of activists need to wrap their heads around was that is action caused by a very small amount of people who happen to be white. It's all tragic, obviously. And if it happened to my people, I don't know if I could get over it either. In fact, my bloodline goes back to the Irish and the Scottish, all also treated like shit by the English. I'm not opposed to moving the day, but I will say this. Most people who want to move the day, they actually want to abolish the day. They want to abolish Australia. And I'm not about that. Not for a fucking second.
So after these multiple personalities we've seen from him, he's back to the personality from the start where the world's after him. But he didn't have to use that minimalising language towards people's oppression if all he wanted to do was say he wanted the day to exist in some form. He did not have to do that.
It's all an idea anyway. How we relate to time and dates is all man-made anyway. We're just humans, and you're allowed to feel how you feel. There's no one or the other, and you can't force that.
He's pretty spot on there. I like the way this dude operates. He's a very smart guy. So,
in case you missed that, the last message was that everyone's entitled to feel how they feel. No words.